Yeah, welcome to another Keef Beat tutorial. And today I'm gonna show you how to make a futuristic one. It doesn't have like the intense snares, but it has like an advanced melody. So yeah, so it's 138 BPM, and it's in D minor. So I usually like to start off with the strings, but this time I tried to use an organ as a bass for the melody. So it sounds like this. Yeah, so what I tried and did was like I did this. So you see, this is like a bass string melody if you start off with the strings. So I tried to do that with the organ, but then I removed the note and moved it around to where it sounded good. Like played around how it sounded with it like hitting two notes at once, one note, you know, and these ones like the D note here and the C note here, they're like uplifting. So it's like, you know, da-da-da, you know, used to add some like catchiness to the melody, and then it's like basically a copy paste over here. So yeah, that's the organ, and then I decided to add a piano. So the piano is built off of the organ. So these notes are hitting where some of the organ notes are hitting. Maybe not every single one, but most of them. And this is just to add like it adds to the melody. Let's hear it. Yeah, so that on top of the organ like creates a larger space of melody. Like it fills up more. It doesn't feel as empty. And then I added some strings. I'll go over what plugins I used like later, but yeah. So this, as you can see here, this is kind of strange too, because like this is like 3 spaces in between than 4. It's usually like 2 3 or like 3 2, but I just played around, try to, because I've already split everything. What you would see when you're building your own melody, you would see every part, right? So you could see where the notes in the other melodies are hitting, so you have something to go out of. But I just played around with this. It's kind of similar like to the organ, but I wanted like where it hits like 3 notes at once. These are like markers, like where the beat are sounding more mighty, or like it adds more energy. So it's like sound like this. So you see these notes in between. It's just to keep up the energy in right before the next hit. And then I added a brass. It's like a, it's supposed to build up for the highlight of the beat, where the brass is a part of the highlight. But I got one more energetic melody part, which is playing together with it. But this is how the brass sounds. Yeah, so it's like it doesn't have as much bass. It doesn't have a lot of bass at all for being like a brass. There's different type of brasses, obviously, but yeah, I didn't want to use a brass which had a lot of bass because it takes up too much space, which the other instruments are already taking up, and I need room for the 808 in that frequency. So yeah, built this off of the organ as well. As I said, you will see your other melody parts when you're doing your own thing. And then I added the ARP, which is more of a main melody part. So let's say the brass and the oscillator, which is coming up next, is the highlight of the beat. The ARP is together with the strings, piano, and organ to make a bass. So the ARP is also built out of the organ and strings. So yeah, let's hear it. So you see how I only have 2 notes here? It's because it's like dropping down almost for the third for the last hit to lift it up again almost. And this is also built off the strings and organ, so you can see where to place your stuff and play around with it. And then we have the oscillator, right? So let me just mute the ARP. So the oscillator, I put it in a higher note as well, so it's like in 6 and 7. Just because I don't want every melody part to be in the same range of notes, so because then it will be, if everything is on the same like type of key, it will be, you won't be able to hear a difference almost, because there's so many melody parts. So I put this in a higher note, and oscillators often fit in high notes, so this is how it sounds. So I have very short notes. You don't need to do this, but it adds a lot of energy. You can have like notes which are like this as well, or like this, or maybe these are the short notes. I meant like you know, like that. But basically, I had done every melody part, and then I went into the oscillator, because then it's much easier to build oscillators. It's much more like kind of advanced and not random, but it's like so many short notes hitting everywhere. So you really need something to build it out of. So yeah, and so for the plugins which I used, like everything is in Nexus except the oscillator, which is from Purity. Yeah. So when we had a melody, I went in here and make the drums. So the melody is very like advanced and takes up so much space. So I wanted like the claps just to be easy, you know. So they're hitting like like this, like simple. Yeah. So a lot of Futuristic Chief Keef beats have like really advanced snares. I usually have that in my beats when I make a futuristic one, but as I said, the melody takes up way too much space for having like snare rolls and stuff in this, in my opinion. So what I did, I added snares, which are hitting like very basic. So this is a snare 1, just hitting on basic spots. And then we have like a snare which is hitting every now and then, which is ending the bar with like, it's just, maybe I'll show you guys how to do that one if you're like kind of new. You can do this basically, like in the last part you mark it, and then you go to the to the magnet, and then you do 1/3 of a beat, and then you control U. You will get that snare ending. So then it was time for the 808. I made 2 patterns for it. Like one is more simple and the other one is more like advanced. So for the more simple, I chose a nice 808, and then it's, so what I did, let me just, I structured it here first. So what I would do, like with the clap, I would just place it like this, you know, wherever it fit good for the 808, like really basic. Then I would go in here to the 808, and then I would click the thing left of the magnet, and then quick legato, which drags out all of your notes, and then I would modify the pattern a little bit in here instead. So this is how this sounds. Yeah, and what I would do then is go back here, right click the 808, and then clone. And then you go back to here into the keyboard, and control C it, and then you press up here to the 808 and control V, and then you have 2 separate patterns. And when I was in the other one, I wanted to hit more often, go a little bit more like crazier, and have a little bit more diversity. So this is how it sounds. Let me see. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, so you can make like rolls. You can, I suggest like changing the tone like of the notes and hits and stuff. What you could also do, you could play around with the velocity of your 808s. I didn't do it as much here. Try to do it a little bit with the roll. Could have done it better, probably. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with having basic 808 patterns as well. But if you wanted to bounce a little more, I guess, or like, yeah, if you want to put some time into the 808, it will always sound good. But there's nothing wrong with a basic 808 pattern. And this is also kind of basic. But Yeah, then I added a kick, which is very simple. It's like not supposed to be heard almost. It's just for to add to the 808. It's just like, you could argue that I should just take it out, but I usually do this. I just put in the kick on like very basic spots where 808 always hit, like it doesn't matter what pattern. And then I do some like mixing with it. I'll show you later. But what I can put in like make more advanced though, in my opinion, with a beat that already has an advanced melody is like, you can put the hi-hats, they can go kind of crazy, but so this is how my hi-hat sounds. Yeah, so it's still kind of basic, but yeah, it sounds good. So what I would do with the hi-hats, I'd go here, back here, when you've dragged in your hi-hat, right click, fill each 2 steps, then you go back here, do the quick legato thing here, left of the magnet, and then you can edit. Just mark your hi-hat, and then you can go to the magnet and choose what kind of step you want. So let's say I do 1/4 step, and then I control U, and then I get this. So you can try different things, try to mix them, try to play with the velocity, and also you can have a hi-hat sound real good in like lower notes as well. So then we have a Vox, very basic. My tips with the Vox is just, when you've done like all the drums, like basically all the drums and all the melody, you just search for a Vox you like, and then you can play around with it in here, and then you will like hear where it sounds good, and if the Vox itself even fits. And then I have a crash, just hitting every, yeah, it's supposed to hit like every like 5th bar, so it's like only in the beginning. Very basic. So we can talk about the mixing a little bit. So for the master, I usually put on a soft clipper just for it not to peak. Then I put on Maximus, click the arrow, presets, mastering, and master at 1. It makes everything much louder and clear. So in my opinion, it's more easy to mix. The Edison is just for when I check the 808's key. The love filter is for the structure of the beat, which I'll show later. And the game editor visualizer is just for when you want to post it on YouTube. So for all the melody parts, before I changed the volume, I did the EQing. So what you do, you press this like arrow, and then heat map enabled, where you can see where the let's see, yeah, you can like see where the most frequencies are in your sound. And what you would do then, you would just go up to the bass, you scroll your wheel downwards until there's like a square, and then you just drag this one, the bass frequency one, all the way to where it's like taking out as much bass as possible, but where the sound is still sounding good. Like it doesn't get too affected, if you know what I mean. Like it takes out the bass for the 808, but the sound doesn't change, so it sounds bad. And then I mix the volume of all of them after I've EQ'd them. And for the drums, also EQ, and then I add a stereo enhancer and max this. This would usually be here. I max it down to bottom right. So where I would add a stereo enhancer is on the hi-hats, the clap, the snares, and not the 808 and the kick and stuff like that. Yeah, same here, snare. Here we have an 808, I think. Yeah, for the 808, I usually take out, as we did, you scroll down but on the high end instead until there's a square, and then you drag out as much high end as possible where it doesn't affect the 808 sound too much, and then you take up the third and the second one here, you drag them up as to like how much bass as you would possibly want, and you can play around with the sub bass. Some 808s are not very rich in bass, more rich in sub bass. Like usually for plug beats, you can have this more dragged up and the other ones dragged down. Yeah, and then I add a soft clipper on the 808, just for it not to peak and stuff. Can modify the volume a little bit. The kick, you do this with, you just drag this down a lot, and the volume, I just wanted to add. I don't want it to like be heard clearly, you know. Might as well skip the kick sometimes, honestly. So this is the hi-hat. Take out as much bass as possible. And then stereo enhancer. This is the Vox and the crash. Don't do anything really with this, just check the volumes. And what you would do as well for like the clap, snare and hi-hat, you click on this, you normalize it, and then you trim it. And make sure loop points are not on. And then for the 808, you would go in here, you would trim it. Then I go here, cut self. Then you go here, drag everything down except this one, because this one like releases the 808 at once when the next 808 is like hitting. And make sure your 808 is in key. So how you do that is just you right click this sound and then edit in audio editor. You'll get to Edison. You mark everything. Then you click this little flag up here and then detect pitch regions. Mine says C2, so it's in C. You go back here, you see mine is blue here on C, so let's make sure it's in C. So then the 808 will always sound good. You can use it like in other keys, but make sure the bass note is like C, if it is C. Yeah. Anything else? Let's see. No, not really. So yeah, then it's like the structure of the beat. What you can do, you can structure it basically how you want. I decided to structure it this way. I'll talk a little bit about it, but yeah. So the love filter is like an effect which adds before the drop, I would say, and then I have a master volume over here, which like fades out the beat. So how you add an effect is like you mark it where you want it to like to end basically, and then drag it all the way back for especially for the love filter. You gotta do that. Then you go to the master, you add the love filter, right? So what I have on the love filter is you go to presets and then see where is it? Yeah, filter, simple triangle, low pass LFO is very common and it sounds very good. Then you right click your knob here and then create automation clip. If you have marked here, it will create like all the way like this. Then you will have to like edit it and make it like not be active until you want it to where you want it to be. And then it goes into it, and make sure where it ends. This would usually end like where the crash starts, but drag it out just a little bit more and like make it end like over here. Otherwise it will just continue playing because it's never really ending. For the master volume, you just do the same thing, but you just go to your master volume knob and right click create automation clip. But yeah, let's listen to the whole thing. Damn, I'm fucking stupid. I forgot to unmute this, sorry. so let's talk about the structure just real quick. Remember to always, you will remember this because it will sound like shit if you don't. So just like, because the 808 and the 808.2 will hit together, so you just remove the one and the other like every bar, or every 5 bars. And you can also split your beat. So what you would do is like, you see this where it says pattern 16, it will just said like pattern 1 or something. You just click this arrow and then split by channel, so you will have everything by itself here. So yeah, I have a long build up, and then I introduce like one part of the highlight or like climax of the beat, and then I introduce the other one. They're not playing together at once because it will be too much, and then it gets like very intense here in the beginning, or like in the end I mean, and then it goes into the verse, I guess. Yeah, kind of a weird structure, but I like it. And then for the ending here, I just like everything is removed almost, except for like the things I consider to be the main part of the melody, and then I remove a part slowly while the volume fades up. So anyways, hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Hope you learned something from it. You can let me know what you think about it in the comments. Thank you.